Hello, everybody. Today, this video is regarding how to navigate the job market. This is my most requested video. I hope you guys get your pens and paper because we're going to be talking about a lot of things in this video. So, get ready. Ignore the people passing behind me because you need to get educated. Okay. Okay, so I do have a few notes that I wrote down. I'm just going to read them to you, but it's gonna be super insightful. I hope you guys learn a lot. So whenever you're trying to get a job in a company, you have to be able to work on your value. What do I mean by work on your value? This means that you should be ready to be of a good contribution to a company. So if you're working in healthcare, make sure that your license is already not expired. Another example, if you're trying to work in childcare, make sure that your licenses are super ready, like you don't have any criminal record. So adding value to your company will actually put you on top of the list of candidates that they would want to hire. Other value or credentials that you could add to yourself is, making sure you have a driver's license, or making sure that you have, a lot of years of experience. Another value that you could add to yourself is like being confident, and also just making sure that you have a good degree from a school. That also plays a part, because if they see that you've studied in that field of work, they will understand that you have an idea of what to do in that job. Okay. For example, if you have a hospitality degree and you want to work in a hotel, anyone who's going to do the hiring will see that your university degree was in hospitality, so they would put you at the top rank. You know what I mean? Let's get to point two. Gaining experience in different career fields can put you in a position where you're not stuck in finding a job. So what do I mean? You should be able to know how to get certificates in different fields. For example, if you have a certificate in childcare and healthcare field at the same time, not at the same time, but you studied it at different times, but you do have it, you are able to look for a job in both fields. And depending on which field you get first, like depending on which job you get first, you would not find it hard to get a job. That's what I mean. So you can also volunteer in different companies. Like you can volunteer in a hotel, you can volunteer in in an office. You can also volunteer in a healthcare center. You can volunteer in a library. And once you've gained most experience, not just volunteering, you can also work in these places. You can work in an office, work in a hotel, work in a library, work in a retail store, or in a clothing store. Once you have all these experiences, you are able to find jobs easily, because you can apply for, you know, jobs in 4 different fields at the same time, and that's going to get you a job faster. So, for example, I have experience working in a retail store, in childcare, in a hotel, and then if I want to get a job, I can search for jobs in different fields, and whichever one gets back to me, I will start right away before trying to get a job in a field that I really want. So if you get what I mean. Third point. So thirdly, try to create a professional looking resume. Once you're able to create a professional looking resume, you're going to get hired, or you're going to get a call back because of how well written your resume looks like. And by small cities, I mean like tourist cities where people come and go. So when people come and go, it's easier for you to fill in the position that is vacant, and that's just how it works. So my next point is that you have to be confident in your interview. So once you get the call back after you've sent your resume, the next thing you have to be willing to ace is your interview. So make sure you're confident, make sure you dress sharp, don't wear revealing clothes. Try to be extra confident. Try to make sure that your employer knows. Try to tell the employer what try to tell the employees that you've had experience in that field by listing the companies you've worked for. Once you do your interview, once you ace that interview, you're sure to get hired. Another thing to do if you really want to get a job is to send your resume directly to the hiring manager. So sometimes you can walk into a company and ask the front desk, or the person. You can be like, can I speak to the hiring manager? And then once they give you a card or email, just send your resume directly to your email. And in your email, try to make sure you write a cover letter stating that you have a lot of experience, you're willing to work for this company, and also write down how many years you're willing to work for this company or how many months you're willing to work for this company. Also send the manager your credentials, like your degree, certificate, transcripts. That also helps. So whenever you're sending your resume directly to the hiring manager, make sure that you add your transcripts and make sure that your transcripts or degree or certificates are related to that job. That will make that will make them see how curious you are about the job. It's going to make them see how determined you are about getting a job in their company. So when you're trying to get a job, it's always important to have a friend, a very good friend of yours that's going to be a good reference to you. So sometimes whenever you get an interview, the company always asks, can you show me, can you give me two references that I could call to speak good about you? So you want to be able to make sure that you have two friends that are ready to talk about you and how good of a worker you are. The better that your references can speak about you, the better you could get the job, if you know what I mean. This one is personally my take on getting a job is that you have to be really willing to pray. Just pray to Jesus Christ and tell him that, Jesus, just help me, just lead me. You gotta pray that Jesus lead me to a good job. My job search is in your hands. I pray that whatever job I get is by your will. Jesus can just like make a way for you. So one thing that one of my viewers said was volunteering, and I do agree. Volunteering is actually a good way to get your foot in the door, and not a lot of people do this. What does volunteering mean? Volunteering means that you're willing to give work for a company for free, volunteer your time for free for a company. And once you do this, sometimes the companies can hire you once you show them how good of a worker you are. And also, once you're volunteering your company, you get to hear when there's a job search in that company, and then you can apply right away. I hope that these points of mine have been able to help you understand how to navigate the job market. This is really important that we are able to get good jobs. Take care.